Hey, what's going on? Look what I got. Ooh. Prince Adam Sky Sled. Alright, so this is the third in the Masters of the Universe Origins toys that I've bought. The first two being He-Man and Skeletor, and this being Prince Adam and the Sky Sled. So, let's see, there's Prince Adam right there. And the Sky Sled. And if you look at the back, it's got a really nice piece of artwork here. Let's see if I can get that up there. Can you see that? Can you see that really well? And there's all kinds of little Easter eggs all over this box. Watch out, cat. Let's see if I can get it. Look, Roton's on there. All kinds of characters. You got Trapjaw, Faker. Hopefully he'll be coming soon. Got Stratos, Merman. We know both of them are coming. Got some kind of like generic looking bad guys on here fighting other characters. See, there's Tila fighting some just generic looking bad guy. Beast Man over here. So, and on the back it says, when his friends are in danger, Prince Adam leaps onto his sky sled and flies to the rescue. Well, really, you know, when his friends are in danger, he usually just turns into He-Man. But I do like the picture where you've got just Prince Adam just ramming straight into Skeletor, like, bam, take that! And over here, Triclops fighting Man-at-Arms, and Beast-Man in the background. He's got a pretty funny expression on his face, like, he can't believe what's going on. So, anyway, let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. Alright, let me get situated here, get my handy-dandy X-Acto knife, because I'm sure we're going to need to cut a lot of little rubber bands and pieces of tape and things like that. Excuse me. Don't worry, it's not the Rona. I'm just kind of phlegmy. I just got up not long ago, and I picked this up on the way home from work, and like, I had a little bit of money left over from my paycheck this week, and decided to spoil myself. Sometimes it's nice to do something nice for yourself. Just because. So, I got like a little pop-up on this laptop. It's annoying me. Excuse me a second. Alright. This is from like McAfee or something. They want me to update my software or whatever. Anyway. No mini comic or catalog or anything that I can see. So, it's probably just as well, because I think it'd probably be the same mini comic that came with the other two figures. So we'll cut this big ass rubber band that's holding this on here. And this is still stuck. I don't know why they needed a rubber band. This thing was stuck in here pretty good. And there is the Sky Sled itself, which if you have the vintage one, you can notice a few differences right off the back. For one thing, this cannon is huge, and it actually pivots like that, so that's pretty neat. These guns on the sides are now made out of a different color plastic, so they stand out a little bit more. The whole thing is a lot more narrow than the original one, which had kind of like an arrowhead shape. This one is a bit more narrow, and it's got more detail on the bottom, like the original one was just flat down here. Give me just a second, I'm going to be right back. Just hang on. I won't be gone for long. Alright. I don't have the original one handy, because I think it's in my storage space, but I do have the Masters of the Universe Classics version, and we can compare it to that one. And this is, I think, a little more accurate in terms of, like, the general shape and everything than this one is. But you can see what I'm talking about, how, like, one's a lot more narrow. Obviously, this one's bigger, but anyway. It's got some pretty neat features. Like, for one thing, this griffin head here, you can actually remove that and then put a snake head on there instead. Let's see if I can get that out of here. they got all this stuff embedded really deep into this plastic tray, and I'm having a hard time getting it out. So just bear with me. There we go. So yeah, there's got this snake head, because for anyone who watched the old cartoon show, the bad guy version of this had a snake head on it instead of a griffin head. And it was also a more greenish color, whereas the good guy one was more of a bluish color. And this is like somewhere in between. This is not quite as blue as the good guy one, but also not quite as green as the bad guy one. So it's made so that it could be both. And it's also got these little panels on the side, and these are supposed to be able to remove. See, this has got a dragon on it. And then it's a green dragon, and then you switch it out for one with a red dragon on it. That's underneath the little tray. I don't know how much use I'm going to get out of this feature. I'm probably just going to stick one on there and leave it. If I get a second one of these, I might display it as a bad guy one, but who knows? It doesn't really matter. You can just set it up however you think is cool. Like, if you want the red dragon and the snake head, but you want He-Man to ride it, I mean, that's fair enough. Honestly, a snake head would probably make, sense, not just for Skeletor, because he lives at Snake Mountain, but, any of the Snake Men, or even Teela, because she has snake armor. So, I might as well go ahead and put the green one back on there so both sides match. Not that it really matters. Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's the Sky Sled right there. And they have a little stand that you can set it up with, which I thought was neat. I like that it gives you a display option so that you can have it standing on your shelf and have it still look like it's in flight. So this is pretty simple. You've got like this little delta shape. Kind of reminds me of the Star Trek emblem a little bit. The the Starfleet delta, which was originally supposed to be just like the symbol of the Enterprise, but wound up becoming the symbol of all of Starfleet. But whatever, this isn't a video about Star Trek, so I'll just stick to the subject. So that clicks in there like that. And then the Sky Sled plugs in at the bottom. One thing I like about this, I'd pointed out how it's got more detail on the bottom, is it's got like what looks like they could be little rocket boosters, so it could believably hover if you wanted to have it hover. One of which is also the plug that this plugs into. So this looks almost more like sort of like a fan here, but this one here looks more like a speaker. So, I don't know, maybe Prince Adam is blasting some music as he's flying over the surface of Eternia. This is the perfect opportunity for people to make reference to the video where he's singing the, "Hey, what's going on?" I already referenced that earlier, but in case you guys don't know, that's a thing that exists, and you can make reference to it on the internet. So, it's a meme that's only been around for like 10 years or something like that, so there, that's a really tight fit. I had to put some good effort onto it, but as you can see, it gives it the illusion of flight with the little clear stand here. I wish that this had been maybe a different color. It looks like there's metal, like a metal pin in here, so they couldn't have done that clear, I don't think. And it might be a sticker. I can't tell. But it's blue, the plastic here. I kind of wish all that plastic had been clear. But whatever, I think it still works. So I'm going to set that there for a second. Hopefully that'll stay. Excuse me. And then one other feature that this has is there is a red laser blast, which you can plug into the front. So it looks like he's blasting at the bad guys. So, all in all, this is pretty neat. When I was a kid, the Battle Ram was my favorite He-Man vehicle. And, of course, the coolest part of it was the Sky Sled. And since it's, if you look at it as its own vehicle, it's small enough, it can be produced fairly cheaply. It's also one that Mattel tends to do as just a thing unto itself. Now, I have the full Battle Ram. I didn't bring the whole thing out from the Classics line, but they sold this by itself. This is not the one they sold by itself, because you can see it's got the snake head on it. Like I said, I don't really care if it's got a snake head or a, griffin head. I just put whatever character on there I want to. Alright, so let's get Prince Adam out of the package. And again, all this stuff is just in here so deeply. So I'm going to get a little creative in cutting this out of here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little notch at the top of this plastic. And that should be enough that I can push the blade of the power sword out and pull it out. And as you can see, Prince Adam's one accessory is a pink power sword. And this is a whole power sword, not a half power sword. And from what I understand, the handle on the whole one is so thick, it has a hard time being gripped by the figure. And let's pull the figure out. It's so phlegmy, it's gross. I'm so sorry. I promise I don't have the Rona. It's just phlegm. Alright, so we have Prince Adam, and if you had the vintage figure, there's going to be a few differences you're going to notice between this and the vintage figure. One is, like all the figures in this line, it has added articulation, so he's much more posable than the original Prince Adam figure. Second, you're going to notice that this vest is made out of plastic rather than fabric, like the original one was. The original one was made out of kind of a velvety fabric. And third is that fabric vest was kind of a burgundy color, whereas this one is pink, like the original cartoon. So, what I suspect is that the reason that they put this figure in with the Sky Sled is, I think they're probably planning on releasing this figure like on a card eventually. And I suspect when that happens, they'll do a burgundy vest for the carded version so it looks more like the vintage figure, and that way we get both a pink version and a burgundy version. The head sculpt is the same as the Origins He-Man, which is one that, like I said, it's fine, but I don't like it as well as the vintage head. And it is the same head sculpt, you can see. But one thing I did notice is that the eyebrows on Prince Adam are a little more furrowed and a little more relaxed on the He-Man figure, which is weird because I remember the original figure as being reversed of that. The vintage ones, like, He-Man had the more furrowed eyebrows, and Prince Adam, they tried to draw them more relaxed. Paint them more relaxed, I should say. Which made sense, because he's a more laid-back dude. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out their heads. So that way I have Adam looking a little more neutral. And He-Man looking a bit more fierce. So I think that's going to work a lot better. So it might not even be that noticeable on camera, but trust me, it's noticeable in person. So, and these things might vary. It might be the sort of thing where, like, it's just not as, noticeable from figure to figure. It might depend. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, from what I understand, it's this sword doesn't fit in this hand very well because it fits well enough, but it's going to stretch that hand out. It seems like you get knocked out pretty easily. But if you just want to display him on the shelf holding the sword, it should probably be fine. I don't think it's going to fall out or anything. It might not. I don't know. But I don't want to leave it in there too long, because I'm already going to put him on the Sky Sled. Which actually looks like it has fairly thick handles. So, but let's go ahead and do that. One thing that's bugging me about this is there's no place to put his sword. It might kind of fit in here. It doesn't fit in there very well. So there's no place for him to hold the sword when he's not using it. So that's going to get lost. Probably what I'm going to do is make kind of a sword sheath to stick in here. It should be a fairly simple thing. What I'm thinking I could do is put a couple of holes in the back of the vest and then a little strap of elastic, and that should hold it in there just fine. But really, Mattel should have done this themselves. They should have, thought, and, much like with He-Man, where there's like a little designated loop here to hold this sword when he's not using the sword, they could have done the same thing with Prince Adam, and should have. So, gotta knock a couple of points off for that. All right, let's put Prince Adam on here. So, unlike the original one or the Classics version, there are little peg holes that you can stick Adam's feet onto here, so that'll give him a little extra stability as far as being held onto the vehicle. And then he's supposed to be able to grip these things, but honestly, they're so thick, I don't know if his hands are going to go on here very well. But we're going to try it. And again, I kind of feel like they're getting stretched out a little bit just from being on there. So if you leave them on your shelf riding this Sky Sled for too long, they might get a little too loose. But thankfully you've got the peg holes on the feet, so that actually kind of holds them on there. I think that's doing most of the holding. With the original one and with the Classics version, I kind of feel like it's him gripping the handles that mainly holds them on. But with this one, I think it's mainly the pegs and the feet that are doing it. So, anyway, he looks pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with him. There's fans that want to see the whole battle ram, and I agree. I would like to see the whole battle ram. But if they do, they're going to have to retool this, I think, a little bit, because I don't really see any way that, this thing could click on here. I mean, you could probably do some kind of covering that would slip over this, but there's nothing really for it to grip onto. So maybe they could have some clips that would get this little lip here, maybe clip around it, I don't know. But it's a nice looking vehicle. It's going to look nice on my shelf, so I'm pretty happy about that. Let's look at the figure a little bit more. We'll go ahead and take him off the sled. So, much like with the other ones, you can pull his arm off, pull his legs off, that kind of thing. So you can swap all these parts around. If you want to put He-Man onto the Sky Sled, you might have a little bit of a trouble because he's got this open hand, so that can't grip on it. So if you want him to grip on it, what you got to do is you got to pull the hand off of Prince Adam and swap it out, which you can do. There we go. So then he could grip onto the Sky Sled with both hands. And likewise, that would also be useful for Prince Adam if you want him to hold the shield, because, as I pointed out in the He-Man video, the open hand actually holds the shield better because the fingers just kind of slip right through that. Whereas, it's difficult for me to get the gripping hand to actually grip that handle. And it clips on at the arm anyway, so it doesn't really matter, But yeah, so you can do that. All in all, I think they did a good job with this figure. Like I said, the one real problem with it is that there's no place to put a sword when you don't want him to be using the sword. So they should have fixed that. Hopefully, if I'm right about them doing a single carded version of the burgundy vest Atom, they can fix that. But anyway, I'm pretty satisfied with that. That's a nice looking figure. So, and I probably will display him riding the Sky Sled, because why not? If nothing else, you can recreate the scene from that one episode where, God, what was the name of it? The Problem with Power, where he thinks he accidentally killed a guy and he throws the sword into the bottomless abyss, and then he goes back to get it by riding the Sky Sled. So, I don't know if that's why they decided to have Prince Adam come with that or not, but I still thought it was kind of neat. Anyway, put the shield back on He-Man. So that's pretty much it. I think the one toy that they have left that's in the stores that I don't have yet from this series is Battle Cat. I'd seen pictures of some of the other characters displayed at other Walmarts, but for whatever reason, the Atlanta area always winds up getting this stuff last. So it always seems to me, anyway. So I haven't seen any of it yet, but rest assured, as soon as I do purchase it, I will do another video where we talk about some more of this stuff. But expect Battle Cat to be next. Probably not for another week or so, because, you know, like I said, I only got this today because, you know, I had a little bit of extra money, and I've been having such a hard time finding these because they'll fly off the shelves so fast. And I don't know if it's just there's that much of a thirst in the collector's market, or if maybe kids are actually buying these, or if it's just scalpers. Which, if it's scalpers, they can burn in hell for all I care. But, you know, to me, the best thing would be if kids were playing with them, because I kind of like the idea of, like, you know, something that my generation enjoyed being passed on to another generation. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. We'll talk to you later. Bye.